You can start. You are muted.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, you're audible.
Perfect. Sorry for keeping you guys waiting. Thanks for joining in. A quick question, how many students do we have here?
We have close to seven students.
Okay, could you just run me through their names so just I know who's moderating and who is a part of our batches?
So the name with Pronttera, now Umar is moderating this session, and
Okay.
we have Buran, we have Juveria, Kashish, Mahek,
Hmm.
and we have Sara.
Got it. Nice to bump into you guys. It's gonna be let me set the tone. It's gonna be an interactive session. There are gonna be a couple of questions, so it's just like the four of us, so just keep it casual. And anytime you have a question, just open your mics and ask away. Um, let's dig into it. Beanie's here as well. Beanie's my co-founder. Let's run through the deck and let's take things from there.
Hey, hi everyone. I'll let Preet take this up, but before he starts, like if you guys could have your cameras on, it would
Yeah.
be great because it's like just 4 or 5 of us. So if it's possible, if you want to take 2 minutes, just be ready for your face on the camera, that's also fine. But
Yeah.
if possible, let's have our cameras on. React with a thumbs up if you guys agree.
Oh, I think it's like super dead. I think, yeah, I think we'll need at least a high from each and every one of you.
Yeah, let's do an icebreaker.
Yeah. Everyone's even got note takers, Fancy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So can we have a hi from all of you all? Like just like mark your attendance. Are you here? Are you listening? Are you excited? Kashish, Mahek, Javeria, Faizan.
Are we all here? Hey, I didn't think no anyone's active here. Yeah, okay, Kashish was like, okay, hi. Oh wow, Javeria's on her way home.
Hmm.
Max here.
Mahek is here.
Yeah.
Javeria, you're traveling. That's okay. We'll give you the benefit of doubt. Mahek and Kashish, can we have your cameras on?
Buran's here as well. So Buran, hey, can we get a hi from you? Everyone's like super introverted.
Yeah, I did inform you about that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Perfect.
And I see a lot of excitement in your message. Can we have your camera on, guys? It's chill. We are also in our homes.
Yeah. Chalo koi nahi. I think
Okay, Mahek.
finally,
Yay.
hi Mike.
Good to see you.
Thanks for joining in.
Guys,
Koi nahi. Chalo.
perfect.
Mike, we'll keep you as the representative if you could just at least say yes and no on behalf of the class. Can we have that? Also, what language are you all comfortable with? Hindi, English, mix. Chalo, koi nahi. Let's start. Let's dig right into it. We'll perfect. Chalo. So I'm sure you all are aware we're going to talk about UI UX today. How many of you all have heard the term? Do you all know what UI UX is?
React with a thumbs up in the chat, guys. It's okay, you don't have to speak. Perfect.
Perfect. So you've heard of it, right? Fairly common term these days. Animation, okay. Figma, sure. Okay. Any other ideas? User interface, yeah. Perfect. So you all have a fair understanding, a fair background. Let's start from there. Let's start with who we are. So I'm Preet and my business partner Beanie. So we run a creative consultancy called Redo Media, where this is Preet, this is Beanie. Both of us big coffee fanatics. We run a creative consultancy called Redo Media. I've been a product designer since the past 6 years, where we design apps, websites, end-to-end products, depending on business requirements. And Bhimi is a marketer with 6 years of experience. She's worked with fashion brands, pet care. She's worked with software development companies as well. And she also does a lot of mentoring, where she helps young designers, developers, career transitioners like yourselves, college students like yourselves to build their portfolios, resumes, help, crack interviews and whatnot. So here's what we do. We design apps, like you see on the right here. We design websites, right? We also design brands, be it like brochures, ID cards, tumblers, logos, and we also do marketing, right? End-to-end marketing. That was a brief introduction about what we do. We're trusted by over 50 plus companies, right from UNICEF, ISKCON, Burger Bay, Momsco, all the fancy startups as well as global organizations all over India. And so we have a fair bit of understanding of, we've been in the space for a while. Now that we know that you guys have a fair understanding of what UI UX is, let's start with why you should care about it, right? You all are front-end developers, will go on to become front-end engineers. Like, why is it even important for you guys, right? Um, let's start with your journey. As a front-end developer, you're essentially gonna create interfaces for users in the end. And an interface need not necessarily be, just an application, like something you use on a mobile. It can be a kiosk at an airport, or it could be at the metro, it could be your ATM kiosk, it could be a website on your laptops, it could be on your mobile device, and soon it's gonna be in your virtual reality devices as well, right? So anything that a user interacts with is called an interface. Now, what does UI UX mean? We've got like fun memes added by Dhini. She's always, playing around. You're a good question, but your question hurt me. So let's talk about UI UX design and the primary differences between them, right? As a UX designer, you're thinking of fundamental principles and journeys as to how is a user going to interact with me. We all know about how we use apps and websites and mobiles, but when you talk about virtual reality headsets, designing experiences and developing experiences for them is a whole different ball game. You got to think of how people will interact. If you've seen trailers for various virtual reality devices and launches, you'll see people swiping in the air, tapping in the air, right? You'll see them pinching in the air. These are all very, very fundamental interactions that a user experience designer thinks of, right? He thinks of how a user will interact with their product. And on the other hand, a UI designer will take care of visuals, colors, fonts, layouts, right? This is something what a user interface designer, what his day-to-day would look like. He'll sit on a fancy laptop, create screens, some illustrations, animations, use Figma for it, like you guys rightly pointed out. But there's a lot of nuance that goes into it, and this area of designing just apps and websites is fairly explored, very explored, and very saturated till now. The next leg of it would be obviously with virtual reality devices, right? We'll get to why we're talking about this and the relevance of it. But let's understand the major difference between user interface design and user experience design. So user experience design looks something like this is what a day-to-day looks like. They'll sit with a lot of road maps, like with a lot of sticky notes, with a lot of diagrams, with a lot of chart papers, and they'll think of what are the business needs and how do we help create an experience around it, right, for the users. Now, here's why it matters. I'm sure as users, we've had smartphones for like 10, 15, 10 years now, each of us, right? We all know what a good and a bad experience is like. User experience design and user interface design makes your apps and websites easier to use. If you look at this example here, over here, someone who wants to punch in a payment amount, but first they have to type in the amount, and they also have to select the currency, whether it's USD or whether it's Indian rupee and whatnot. On the other hand, over here, you've just simply got a selector for the currency, and you can simply type in your amount in big and bold letters, right? As a user, it's easier to use this, right? Like instead of selecting 100 different menu items, simply have clear demarcated categories, right? And you can pick and choose to swipe on or off. It's so much easier. Your UI UX design, well crafted UI UX design can also make your apps and websites more trusted. Say you want to buy jewelry. Would you buy it from a website that looks like this or a website that looks like this, right? It's so much easier to build trust with good design. It can also make your designs more fun, right? Instead of this plain and bland layout, you go from something more fancy. It makes it fun, it makes it more engaging, right? Similarly over here, where you've just got like a simple UI card, as we call it, and here you've got nice big images, right? Instead of just plain text, we have like some nice icons as well and images going on. Similarly here on the left, you've just got a lot of text, and it's too cluttered. On the right, it's simply more delightful. It's easy to consume, and that's what good design does. As users, we would stick around with platforms that give us easier, fun experiences as compared to the ones like IRCTC. इंडियन रेलवेज का आप सबने यूज किया होगा बुकिंग करने के लिए. इट्स अ बिग हेडेक, राइट? एंड द लेआउट्स लुक गॉड ऑफुल as compared to कोई मेक माई ट्रिप या कोई फैंसी दूसरा प्लेटफॉर्म देख लो. इट्स सो मच मोर easier to navigate, it's so much more easier to understand, right? So you as a user would be like, मुझे ट्रेन की बुकिंग करनी है, मैं जाके मेक माई ट्रिप पे कर लूंगा instead of going to IRCTC. It helps you create helps a business differentiate itself from competitors purely on the basis of UI UX. Now, as developers, it's even more important for you to understand the principles of UI UX in the age of AI, right? The reason is, today designers can develop websites and apps without needing developers. And developers like you can design and deploy products on your own. In both cases, the issues come down once you've actually deployed whatever you want to create, whatever you want to build. You got to think of, okay, मेरे users इसको use कर पा रहे हैं long time के लिए, उनका क्या feedback है, how do I make it more engaging, how do I create a product life cycle कि वो constantly उसको मैं improve करते जाऊँ and users उसको adopt करते जाए, right? काफ़ी सारे nuances आ जाते हैं. And in the age of AI, when you can simply, मैं prompt डाल सकता हूँ कि okay, मैंने prompt डाल दिया कि help me design an XYZ app and मुझे designs मिल गए. In a lot of cases, you'll see कि it does not really help. You, as someone who's building things as a developer, need to have a very fundamental understanding of UI UX for your product to succeed. Similarly with designers need to understand the tech side of things very fundamentally for it to work, right? So now that we've established the importance of it, of UI UX, and you all have heard of it, you all have had a fair understanding of it, introduction to it, let's talk about how do you actually get better at it, right? And for that, you need to think in multiple layers and domains. First off, for those of you who know about it, you want to dig deeper into the foundations. What are the principles of UI UX design, right? What are the methodologies that people use in the industry to go about crafting these designs, experiences, and whatnot? And then there are some libraries that developers today can use um, to get better at UI UX and implement better systems. And there are some other resources as well. So let's talk about foundations. Firstly, we'd recommend you dig into the laws of UX, right? Laws of user experience design. There are multiple laws. There are websites. I'll share my screen in a bit to show you more, you know, uh, examples. But there are multiple laws that are defined over all of these 20 odd years of user interfaces existing. You want to study each and every law. You want to understand why is it that you like using Swiggy and Zomato as compared to some ONDC. सबने ONDC सुना होगा, गवर्नमेंट ने खुद का वो प्लेटफॉर्म लॉन्च किया है डिलीवरी के लिए. You just know that Swiggy and Zomato makes you feel so much better. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to stick to it, right? There are laws behind it. Similarly, with booking on Make My Trip versus booking on IRCTC, booking for Indian Railways. So study the laws of UX. Next, of course, you've got YouTube. YouTube पे कई सारे आपको you don't need to necessarily learn how to design. आपको Figma में proficient बनने की जरूरत नहीं है, but you need to understand the core fundamentals. There are tons of videos where you'll find why every developer needs to know UI UX design. The top engineers, top developers at Apple, Google, they understand design very well, right? Especially front-end engineers. If you are gonna be a front-end engineer, you and you look at top engineers, see how they have an intuitive understanding of these principles, right? It's super crucial for you, and it will go a long way in your career. You don't need to necessarily understand how to design. You just need to understand the principles mainly. And of course, there's a lot of Medium blogs. Make Medium is a platform which hosts a lot of blogs and articles. आपको developer के भी काफी सारे blogs मिल जाएंगे वहाँ पे. But यहाँ पे you'll find tons of product design, UI UX design, uh, principles, examples, frameworks. And of course, I'm sure you all know, but if you all don't, there's like a lot of libraries out there, right? React component libraries, Bootstrap libraries. यहाँ पे आपको tokens मिल जाएंगे interfaces के लिए. You'll find components, you'll find atoms, you'll find bits and pieces, which you can then use to craft good, interfaces on your own. And even if you do a quick Google search, आपको you'll find tons of famous ones. Bootstrap एक है, Tailwind CSS आपने सुना होगा, right? HTML CSS सीख ही रहे हो अभी, but if you go dive deeper, there are already these pre-made components that you could use to create your interfaces, to create websites and apps. And after all of that, you can always like reach out to us at Redo Media. We are always here to shed more light on the world of UI UX design. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, if you're working on a project and you wanna get it reviewed from a design angle, you could always reach out to us as well, right? But apart from this, let me see how many of you all actually followed. I remember Mehak, turned on the camera. I'll just gonna type it in the chat. How many of you all followed through? Nobody?
I did.
But what we'll also do is we'll share this presentation with y'all. Y'all could go through it. We'll also share some additional links and resources for y'all, right? And apart from that, let me share my screen and talk about some more tools, resources for y'all. You have a question? Sure, go ahead. No, she doesn't have a question. She was just like, thumbs up. Perfect. Got it. Let me share my screen for y'all real quick. So, वो जो blogs वाली चीज मैंने बताई थी, right? मीडियम करके एक प्लेटफॉर्म है. You can see it here. I'm sure you all have heard of it. काफी सारे आर्टिकल्स, ब्लॉग्स, वर्क्स मिल जाएंगे आपको, right? UI डिजाइन ट्रेंड्स, हर एक टॉपिक पे. Mainly there are tools like Webflow. How many of you all have heard of Webflow? Webflow सुना है किसी ने? Yes, no, I can't read the chats. No. Webflow, oh, okay. Webflow is a top-notch tool. आपने विक्स सुना होगा, पुराने विक्स, या वो कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजी है बीनी?
WordPress, Wix,
वर्डप्रेस सुना होगा आपने?
Elementor.
हाँ, वर्डप्रेस, एलिमेंट और वेबसाइट्स बनती है उस पे.
Yeah, we got yes in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. Webflow is the next generation of building websites. इसमें you don't have to use HTML, CSS and code things out. You can simply drag and drop, but it's not your basic drag and drop. बहुत सारी complicated चीजें बना सकते हो आप इस पे. HTML, CSS का knowledge होना जरूरी है, but also design का knowledge भी होना जरूरी है. UI UX का knowledge होना जरूरी है. ये Webflow की website है. I'll not dig too deep into what they, how they operate. You should check it out. But Webflow itself has a big library of blogs, right? Fundamentals of advanced fundamentals and advanced topics on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, responsive design, UI UX principles, right? Hands-on projects के briefs मिलते हैं आपको. And I'm sure Pronttera, maybe these guys are doing a real good job of, bringing in the relevant industry tools and principles to y'all. So go to Webflow, I'll send the link as well. आप इनकी library में जाके blogs वॉग्स check करना. अब मैं आपको YouTube की भी libraries भेजता हूँ, YouTube पे playlist भेजता हूँ that developers के लिए, how do developers get good at, UI UX and understanding these things. I'll send that along your way as well. Kashish, like Android, like what does that mean?
She was asking in context of Webflow, I think.
Yeah, so Android is a platform on which you obviously like you can deploy your apps and whatnot. Webflow is more of a tool. आप उस tool को use करके websites बना सकते हो. It's not and it uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as its, yeah. It's not like drag and drop के case में, it's just like a tool. You can drag and drop containers, div blocks, styles. You can create global styles and whatnot. तो जो भी आप HTML, CSS में सीख रहे हो अभी, it's a more easier version of it, easy to maintain version of it. It's kind of like, it's sort of like Android Studio, sort of. It's a no-code platform, right? Um, as developers, I think I'd urge you all to dig further into these things as well, as to what no-code is. What are the AI workflows for developers these days, right? Um, if you all are open for it, do drop in your questions to us on chat and we'll get back to you. Uh, Pronttera, if you think, Sufyan, if you think uh, later down the line, these guys also have more questions around UI UX, we'd be happy to take more lectures and sessions as well. But currently, it's kind of difficult for us to gauge what level of understanding you have without your interaction. But we'll send this deck across. Do let us know if you have any further questions. Sufyan, you here?
Can we get a yes in the chat if you guys have at least one thing that you took away from this session, one new thing that you learned today? Can we get a yes or no in the chat? Okay, perfect. Were you guys able to keep up with us? Perfect, we're getting yeses.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
And we
Perfect.
understand that we have a bunch of introverts with us, which is completely fine. But feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to Sufyan, if you have any doubts, if you want to know more about UI, UX, or anything around what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's my social in the chat. That's my LinkedIn. Sufyan will drop Dini's LinkedIn as well. We both do a lot of mentorship sessions with college students and career transitioners. So if you all have any questions around switching careers, leveling up, building your resume, building your portfolio, getting connections in the industry, do reach out to us. Yeah, perfect. See you guys around. Sufyan, we'll also hop off. It was great, introducing this to you all.
Yeah, awesome. Any questions, guys? You won't find them very easily. These guys are they have a huge amount of experience in this field. If you have any questions related to it, you have this chance.
Thanks, Urban. We'll call you Urban. And thanks for joining, and you guys have a great weekend ahead. Yeah, logging off.
Thank you
Perfect.
so much. Thank you so
Great
much.
seeing you guys. We might also see you next week. So just a trigger warning of sorts that if you could have your cameras on for the next session, we would love to meet with you guys and have a deeper conversation and understand where you guys are in your career right now.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
perfect. All
Catch
right.
you guys. Bye bye.
See you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for your time. Bye bye.